Go to college as virgins. You realize this, right? I mean, they probably have special dorms for people like us.
The media and culture as a whole has some pretty weird views on virginity. So much of popular media is inundated with rhetoric around virginity and how, depending on who you are, you should lose it as soon as possible or hold on to it for dear life.
I love you. And I want you to wait for as long as you possibly can, Claire. But if the time comes and you decide that you can't wait any longer, please, please come to me.
Men and women play by different rules when it comes to sexuality, and so the messaging around having sex for the first time is also different. Young boys feel a lot of pressure to have sex for the first time as early as possible, and that's reflected in the data. On average, boys start having sex at an earlier age than girls, and this contributes to the sexual exploitation of young men. So much of boyhood is framed around trying to become a man, and one of the ways we are told that we become men is through sexual gratification. In the media, entire genres are built on, predicated on, this well-established rhetoric that young men must start having sex as soon as possible. Failure to do so demonstrates a significant lapse in social capital.
This is our day. This is our time. And by God, we will not stand by and watch history condemn us into celibacy. Amen.
I like that.
Yes, we will make a stand. We will succeed.
About time!
We will get laid! Yes!
Because when someone is a virgin, it means more than simply they have not had sex yet. It is seen as some kind of social failure, that this person could not get anyone to touch them. It's the reason why incel is such an effective insult. It indicates that this person is so off-putting, so socially inept, that no one would want to sleep with them. And for young men, that possibility is existential.
I've wasted the last 3 years of my life sitting around talking bullshit with you, man. Instead of chasing girls and making friends, I've just sat around wasting all my time with you. And now because of you, I'm going to college, a fucking friendless virgin.
Which is why we see so much media of men racing against the clock to lose their virginity by any means necessary. From The Last American Virgin to Porky's, American Pie, all the way down to Superbad, we see so many depictions where for teen boys, remaining a virgin is akin to social suicide. It's not simply about the sexual gratification of engaging in the activity, it's about what it means for their social standing. The more access you have to sex, the more of a man you are, and the more social capital you acquire. Now, before we continue, I do think it's important that we get on the same page about a couple of things. Firstly, it's important to understand that the entire concept of virginity is a social construct. There is no true biological way to determine whether someone has had sex or not. For decades, the presence or absence of a hymen was used to determine whether women were virgins or not. But that also is not a true indicator. It is entirely possible for the hymen to remain intact during intercourse, and it's also possible for it to be ruptured outside of intercourse. So across cultures, especially in the Western world, the whole idea of virginity is something we created. It's not real. But today, we're going to explore how it has very real implications in our daily lives and how it is depicted across media. So like I've said before, there is a glaring double standard around our treatment toward virginity for men and women, and nowhere is the glaring discrepancy more apparent than in the movie Grease. The 1978 film depicts the budding romance between teens Danny Zuko and Sandy Olson. After meeting during the summer and experiencing an electric romance, Sandy and Danny recount their encounter to their friends, with very glaring differences. Sandy frames her romantic rendezvous with Danny as sweet and passionate, while Danny's recount emphasizes and exaggerates a more physical encounter. In order to impress his friends and uphold his image as a bad boy, he has to imply a more sexually charged experience.
I did meet this one chick. She was sort of cool.
You know, mean she puts out?
Oh, come on, Sonny. Is that all you ever think about?
For boys, sexual assertion is the way in which they can achieve idealized masculinity. Danny cannot in any way infer that his feelings for Sandy goes beyond anything physical.
Sandy! Danny? What are you doing here? I thought you were going back to Australia.
We had a change of plans.
I can't...
Well, that's cool, baby. I mean, you know how it is, rocking and rolling and whatnot.
Danny?
Love and romance are things for girls and weak men to idolize.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
What's the matter with you?
What's the matter with me, baby? What's the matter with you?
What happened to the Danny Zuko I met at the beach?
Well, I do not know. I mean, maybe, maybe there's two of us, right?
Sex is the most important thing for boys, which is why they prioritize it, even if that means grossly exaggerating their access. On the other hand, for the women in Greece, virginity and purity are more important, but there is this delicate tightrope that women must balance. They should aspire to chastity, but not in a way that comes off as prudish. They cannot be so sex-averse that they come across as boring, or so interested and motivated by sex that they come across as whorish. This is the Madonna-whore complex. Women must be chaste, but not prudish, sexually adventurous and willing, but not whorish. In the movie, Sandy is mocked for her sexual inexperience. Sexual exploits, but the movie punishes her for this by giving her an unwanted pregnancy.
With you tonight.
I feel like a defective typewriter.
Huh?
I skipped a period.
You think you're PG?
I don't know, big deal.
Rizzo, I hear you're knocked up.
You do, huh?
Yeah.
Boy, good news really travels fast.
And acknowledging how her willingness to have sex has significantly deteriorated her social standing.
You looking good, Riz.
Eat your heart out.
Well, sloppy seconds ain't my style.
Now she's considered the school slut. However, the boys of the school suffer nothing from being sexually promiscuous.
Why don't you tell me about it?
What's it to you?
I thought I might be able to do something.
You did enough.
Not only is it tolerated, it's actively encouraged. Sexual promiscuity increases boys' social standings, but has the opposite effect for girls. This is why so many teen sex comedies have their plots hinged on boys racing against the clock to lose their virginities, or face the threat of becoming social pariahs. We also see where boys, in a desperate bid to increase their popularity, will even go as far as lying about their sexual conquests, even at the expense of the girl's reputation. In the movie Easy A, they played with this dynamic. Olive starts a lucrative business allowing boys at her school to lie about having sex with her.
Brandon told me what you did for him.
Oh, well, rest assured it was equally as thrilling for me.
No, he told me the truth. I was just hoping that maybe you could do the same for me.
Goodbye, Evan.
Wait, I can pay you.
So that they can increase their social standing in exchange for monetary gifts.
I don't need your permission, you know.
What?
I mean, at the rate you're going, I just don't see how people won't not believe it.
Are you threatening me?
I'll give you $100.
You are repugnant.
Duh. That's the problem.
This works mostly because Olive initially does not care about the damage to her social reputation.
Just hope for your sake you at least had the good sense to use protection.
Why? Your parents didn't.
You're going to hell.
Just as long as you won't be there.
But it initially began as a favor for her gay friend, who convinced her to pretend to have sex with him so people would not only think he's straight, but would also think he's cool because of his sexual aptitude.
How was she?
Oh, well, let's just say I'll be walking funny tomorrow.
Why is there shame around someone's supposed virginhood? Well, like I said before, for men, delayed sexual experience might indicate a more comprehensive issue: social ineptitude. A man's inability to gain access to sex signals social awkwardness.
Are you a virgin?
Yeah.
Really?
Look, I'll get it tattooed on my forehead, okay?
When we look at media, the men who are depicted as being womanizers tend to fit into some very consistent characteristics. They tend to be portrayed as handsome, confident, popular, and generally well-liked. By contrast, men who have difficulty getting girls are depicted as being nerdish, timid, insecure, and probably not well-liked. So for boys, being able to lose their virginity is more than just the act of having sex. It's about increasing their popularity and social standing. So the shame arises when, for whatever reason, they feel that there is a social barrier to achieving that goal. No one wants to be seen as a loser, and if you're still a virgin by a certain age, you're a loser. This concept is pretty much the whole premise of the movie The 40-Year-Old Virgin. In it, Steve Carell plays a man who is 40 years old but has still never had sex.
Borked a lot of women in my day.
You borked?
Hold up. Yo, answer this question. Are you a virgin? Are you a virgin?
Yeah, not since I was 10.
It all makes sense. You're a virgin.
I am. Shut up.
How does that happen?
He's a fucking virgin.
Oh.
I knew it. That makes so much sense, man. Look, he's a virgin.
Wait,
You guys are hilarious.
All right. Come on, don't be mean.
And of course, that plays into who he is as a person, someone who is timid, lacks confidence, and is very insecure.
And now I am making your silver pants blue.
Get some road burn. Come on. Come on, sucker. Now, pretty ladies around the world got a weird thing to show you.
Throughout the movie, after his co-workers find out about his gross social shortcoming, they make it their mission to right this wrong by doing everything within their power to help him lose his virginity.
Your dick is my dick. I'm getting you some pussy.
But just being a virgin isn't the only source of shame. You can also be shamed for not having enough sexual experience as a man, or rather, enough sexual partners.
Before I tell you, why don't you tell me how many women you've been with?
2.
2? How is that possible? I mean, have you seen you?
Steve Carell is either playing a man who has never had sex or a man who has only had sex with one person, which in a lot of cases is seen as equally shameful.
Let's talk about how many women you've been with. Sexually? Yeah, no. I mean breakdance fighting.
1.
It's not enough to just have sex. You must be sexually aggressive and promiscuous as a man. It's your ability to have sex with many women that makes you cool. For women, the shame is twofold.
Trang Pak is a grusky little biatch.
Still true.
Don Schweitzer is a fat virgin.
Still half true.
Young women have definitely been shamed for being virgins.
Bitch, this isn't the 80s. You need to catch a dick.
As it can be seen as prudish.
Are you a slut?
Yeah, I'm a fucking savage.
Oh yeah? What's your number?
Higher than YouTube can count.
Stop playing. You're a fucking prude.
In The Breakfast Club, girls, like boys, exaggerate their sexual experience so as to not come across as losers.
A double-edged sword, isn't it?
A what?
Well, if you say you haven't, you're a prude. If you say you have, you're a slut. It's a trap. You want to, but you can't. And when you do, you wish you didn't, right?
Wrong.
Or are you a tease?
But it can also be seen as taken a step too far, and being seen as too sexually liberal can bring shame for being a slut. The impossible tightrope that women must balance. Interestingly enough, the shame around virginity doesn't just show up in adult media. Even in children's media, the allusion to someone's virginity, in this case, a first kiss, can be just as sensationalized. In iCarly, Freddie is shamed for not having had his first kiss.
Who was your first kiss?
I haven't had my first kiss.
Oh, shut up.
I've never kissed anyone.
He's mocked and made into a social pariah.
I am Freddie Benson, and I have never kissed a girl. Hey there. Stop that. Stop laughing at this unfortunate misfit.
Even Sam feels pressured to lie about already having her first kiss so as to not be seen as a loser.
Wait, you've seriously never kissed anyone?
You shocked?
Well, yeah, but just because you always seemed so willing.
The main issue with the double standard is the belief that sex increases boys' social standings while degrading girls. Sex isn't a thing that women have agency in and can willfully participate in. It's something that happens to them. So women who eagerly participate in the act must be of low virtue and self-respect. In depictions in the media, we see where girls who attempt to be as sexually adventurous as men are dehumanized. They are seen as less deserving of respect and compassion. In Jane the Virgin, Jane's abuela at a very young age gave her strong messaging about her virginity. She imparted her with shame around her sexuality in the hope that it would deter her from becoming a teen parent like her mother.
A la flor, Jane. Bien. Ahora haz que se vea como nueva otra vez. Vamos, anda, trata.
I can't.
Así es. Nunca puedes volver atrás. Y eso es lo que sucede cuando pierdes tu virginidad. Nunca puedes volver atrás. Nunca olvides eso, Jane.
And Jane never did.
The analogy being of a woman's purity being inextricably linked to their chastity, and once they've had sex, that purity is something they will never be able to reclaim. For a long time, that was the most prevalent expectation for young women. To be anything less would make you a whore.
Oh, God.
Now I get it. Why would somebody do this?
It's Adam's fault. He lied and told some of his friends that I let him have sex with me, and now it's going around school that I'm a hoe.
And a whore is the worst thing a woman could be.
You hoard yourself.
What you are now going to explain to me is bad. Can I never win with you?
It is the worst thing a woman can do.
Women who are too sexually liberal cannot be trusted. A long-standing fear is that a whorish woman will tempt an otherwise partnered man and steal him away from the more virtuous woman.
I don't know what I'd do.
Do you know how silly you're sounding? Oh, darling. I have absolutely no interest in Madeline Ashton.
Laurie in that 70s show is continuously denigrated as being a whore, even by her mother.
Well, good morning, orphan.
Good morning.
That's all you got?
Oh. Whore.
Wow, he called me a whore.
Yeah. Stephen, honey.
Depicted as someone who is willing to have sex with any man, even if they are in a relationship. Her willingness to be sexually promiscuous makes her the target of ridicule in the show.
But you know, what's really sad is that you got no respect for yourself. Or this family.
Daddy!
Well, he's not wrong.
But Daddy...
Rad?
Well, Kitty, who's gonna buy the cow when they get the milk for free?
Less deserving of respect from everyone around her. However, after a time, there was somewhat of a shift in our expectation of women and sex. Another interesting development was sexual liberation being seen as an effective way for women to reclaim power. We see where more women were comfortable being called sluts and whores, and even embraced the distinction because it made them seem more powerful and in control.
Because people think it's cool. A week ago, hardly anyone at school talked to me. Now everyone likes me.
You left public school because everyone thought you were easy. Now you want everyone to think you're easy?
Because I'm maturing.
In Euphoria, Kat long resented the fact that she was a virgin, and in wanting to change up her image, believed being more sexually promiscuous was the way to get there.
He's scrunching up when he was coming all over my stomach, and I had this realization, like this epiphany. That no matter how cool or sexy or smart you think a guy is, they're actually just fucking pathetic.
She even at some point dabbled in sex work. But on the other side of that, she never found true confidence or power. At the turn of the century, even though there was an increased focus on female sexuality and desire, slut-shaming, of course, still persisted.
The spring fling queen is always pretty. The crazy thing is that it should be Karen, but people forget about her because she's such a slut.
But there was more rhetoric around young girls reclaiming their sexuality and pursuing sex in the same way that young boys have always been expected to.
TikTok. We're not gonna be sexy little high schoolers forever. So we're gonna be old hags in college. Do you wanna be the only girl virgin at Sarah Lawrence?
Yeah, honestly, maybe. I might have a good shot that way.
These depictions of young girls finally taking steps to sexual freedom are supposed to be seen as aspirational for young girls, signifying a change in our treatment towards female sexuality. However, that's not always the case. Ultimately, the pressure many young people feel to either expedite or exaggerate their sexual experience is in part informed by the media. On one hand, boys are pressured to have sexual experiences as early as possible without any regard whatsoever to exploitation. In fact, most times, sexual exploitation of boys at the hand of older women is seen as aspirational and actively encouraged. But men's failure to play into a very promiscuous lifestyle is seen as a social failure on their part, to be condemned with shame. In Sex Education, Otis feels shame around not being as interested in sexual gratification as his peers, so much so that he spends much of the first season pretending to be more sexually motivated than he actually is, just to not disappoint his mother, who's a renowned sex therapist. It disincentivizes romantic connection and places an overemphasis on sexual gratification, and any man who is unable to live within those very narrow boundaries will be shamed for it. Women, on the other hand, are often punished in the media if they attempt to be as sexually promiscuous as boys are encouraged to be. Their punishments may come in the form of unwanted early pregnancy or irreparable damage to their public reputation. It's also important to note that pregnancy as punishment for sexual promiscuity is mostly reserved for women. Men are not shamed by the burden of having to take care of a child, which is why there are more relaxed rules for boys than girls when it comes to sex. However, chastity is also not valued in women. Women should not be so prudish or too averse to having sex, or they can also run the risk of being shamed. Our constructs around virginity are all imaginary, and ultimately there are no real rules around how and when someone chooses to engage in sexual activity. The shame and pressure associated with it are societal double standards that in the grand scheme of things mean absolutely nothing, but have very real impact in the way both men and women navigate sexual experiences. So that's it. Let me know what your thoughts are below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.